Welcome to Your American Dream. I'm Anisha Jennings, and today we're exploring the power of pursuing multiple passions with Bianka Krausch, who's proving that success knows no boundaries, whether it's crossing oceans or crossing industries. Welcome, Bianca.
Hi, thank you. So excited to be here.
Thank you. So please tell our listeners your journey from Germany to the US and all your adventures so far and where you're at now in your business.
Hi, so my name is Bianka Krausch. I am currently in Boca Raton, Florida, and I moved to the United States at the tender age of 14. My mother at the time remarried, and my stepdad was American. So we had the opportunity to come to the United States, and basically were given two choices, either Indianapolis, Indiana, or Birmingham, Alabama. I think the place that we went to go see in Birmingham was very rural. So we opted for Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm originally from Frankfurt, Germany, which is definitely a more of a big city feel. So it was the closest that we thought would be good for us to start out at. And from there, I went to high school in Indy. Then I graduated from IU, but the downtown campus. And after about, I think, a year of working, realized that that wasn't the place I wanted to be, or really also kind of didn't find my calling when it comes to my professional life. I went to college for international business. I thought I was going to do pre-law, which then I didn't pursue at all. And you just couldn't really find like what it is that I wanted to do. And I was very fortunate that, 5'10" at the time, I was a size 2. So I got picked up by a modeling agency, believe it or not. It was a long time ago. And so after working in that market for 3 years, just decided to pack up my car. I had a Honda Civic stick shift, 2-door, packed everything in my car that I could fit basically, and moved down to South Beach, Miami. And that was basically how I got down here. And then at, I think I was 25, I met my current husband, and I don't have another husband. I don't know why I said current, but um, he about a year into it was like, well, you're working for all these people and it's like 12-hour days, and why don't you take the helm on this and like start your own business. And so at age 26 I started my own talent agency, which is like really, really super organic. We basically used already signed talent in the marketplace for live events. And these were upscale events like Food and Wine Festival, Art Basel, festivals I think that everybody recognizes, internationally even. And we basically did the high-end event staffing. So we had all the beautiful hotel parties and anything from Move Clicquot to Grand Marnier, you name it. Like we started doing the events for them. And I got really lucky early on that a client who's still a friend to this day kind of took me on as a newbie and said, hey, can you do this? And that was like my first big check that I got. I think it was for Art Basel. And I realized I couldn't cash it. So I had to go and create a bank account for this company that I had started. It was like a real organic story. And this is in 2006. So now, obviously, 19 years later, almost, we're in our 19th year. My social gal's always debating me on that. Are we in the 18th year or the 19th year? I'm like, we celebrate at the end of the 18th year. I think we're in our 19th year. But that's basically what it is. So now we're a pretty recognized talent agency down here in Florida. So that was kind of my journey. Just lucky.
Lovely. Well, yeah, that's a great journey, and you summarized it so quickly. So we have a lot to unpack here. So tell us about the cultural adjustments that you found that were most challenging for you.
I think that everybody experiences moving to different countries differently. I think that I am from a country and from a city where actually in Germany, in my class of 25 students, we only had 5 German students. So I grew up in a very, I feel like, international hub. And I think part of growing up in that space, I never really remember saying, oh, where are you from? Like to anybody in my class, because everybody was from somewhere. Most spoke fluent German, but like it would just because I think when it becomes so diverse, it doesn't necessarily define the person where they're from. So I think that that's not really a question I asked a lot as a child, but when I moved to the US, even though I looked mostly like everyone else, I probably dressed a little different because that was like the Doc Martin era. So I guess so I showed up in conservative Indiana with like my Doc Martens and tie-dye skirts and like bright red hair. So definitely, I think left that people noticed that I was from somewhere else, but couldn't quite pinpoint that I was necessarily from another country. Once they got to talking to me, and that's the other thing too, if you don't go as a foreign exchange student, or like, if the school doesn't do a good job of introducing you as a, hey, this is Bianca, she is from such and such country, make her feel welcome. It was a very lonely place to be in. I remember a lot of times that I would like wouldn't have anybody to go to lunch with, like had a really hard time just connecting. And I don't know if it was me or the people around me, could have also been just me, because it was so different. Because it's very, in Germany, it's very direct, very like, I don't know, you don't go, hi, oh my God, it's so nice to meet you. Like you'll never get that. And it's
Yeah.
such a great thing when it happens, but I think for someone who's not used to it, I'm almost like, are you real? Is this for real? Are
Yes.
you like, what's going on? And now that I'm on the other side of it, when I go visit Germany, I hear the opposite. They're like, she's really friendly, like she's really friendly, and it's just funny. I don't know, but I had a hard time adjusting. It took about a year, and then by then I think I spoke. I mean, I knew British English anyway, but like by then, I think within a year, I'd been fairly Americanized, I would say, as a teenager.
Amazing. Funny you say that because when I came to the US and I would see everybody be like, hey, how are you doing? You have such a beautiful smile. And I don't think many people had said that to me back home. So I'm like, what do you want from me?
I totally get it.
Why are you being so friendly? What is going on? So yeah, that's very interesting over here, how people are very, very warm and welcoming, and they just, want to make you feel, at least say, hey, I hope you have a good day, or just be welcoming.
Yeah, I've often thought about that because I mean, obviously, I have children now, and I have two that are in the age range. I have three children total, but I have two in the age range of when I moved, and I always think about that because even though everyone was so friendly, I felt so lonely, and so I always wonder, like, is it me? Maybe it's me that came into this. I don't know. Like, while everybody is being so friendly, why do you feel so isolated? So I've had to do a lot of self work here, like to try to figure that out because within a year, then it was fine. Then I was in the midst of it. I got a lead in a play, which was so nerve wracking because you don't know it's a second language until you get up in front of people and you want to speak. And all of a sudden, English is 1000% a second language to me. I would like twitch or like this would move. But it was a great thing that my counselor was actually the guy that decided who was going to be in the play. And I think he kind of used it to push me to just get comfortable. And then after that, it was like show choir and all this other stuff. And it was fine then. But it was a really hard time at the beginning. And I'm going to tell you, I think part of this too is because my mom is here. My mom obviously has a very heavy German accent. And I feel like while my sister and I assimilated super quickly for her because she'll never get rid of the accent. And she was in a city where there are not a lot of Germans. And there was also like, I think a lot of lack of education around like Europe. I mean, people would really ask me like, how'd you get here? Did you drive across the bridge? And I was like, what bridge? Like people just, and then it's not everyone, but it was a lot. Like we got asked that a lot. And you weren't quite sure how to take it at the beginning. And you also don't want to make your peers feel not smart by saying like, what bridge? What are you talking about? So it was just, I felt like I always got stuck, like trying to find friends, but also not to make everybody upset. I think that, especially where we went to an indie, I think just a lot of general education wasn't about Europe or like just about content. I don't know. There's something was lacking because they didn't know. Or I felt like in New York, LA, you might not get that as much because it's a little bit more
Yes.
cultural.
Yes, it's hard either way. So how has being an immigrant shaped your entrepreneurial mindset?
So I'm going to give you two sides of this, and hopefully my dad won't listen to this. But when I started my company, I remember telling my dad in Germany, "This is what I'm doing," and all I've ever heard is, you couldn't do that here. Well, this wouldn't be an option. Nobody would take a 26-year-old serious." So, and he wasn't unsupportive. It was more like, "Don't get your hopes so high. This may not work." And I think that's a very cultural thing to say, because in Germany, usually the old, you have respect for your elders. Your boss is most likely going to be older. I think they've had a really hard time in general with the tech space and whatnot, with so many people coming in so young. So my other half is a tech entrepreneur. So he's never done anything different. Like he had a company, like a student services company when he was really young and like first year of college, he was like doing house painting and whatever, but he's never worked for anyone. So for somebody to never ever have worked for anyone, that's a big deal. And that's who's pushing me kind of to find my own voice. So where I have my dad who's like, you can't, this is not something that would work here, which actually I don't believe that's the case. It would have been harder there, I think, due to my young age at the time. But I think the German mentality of just we're super, like, especially my family, we're super hardworking. We stay there until it gets done. We're not on a 37.5 hour work week like my dad was, but we have this mentality of just getting stuff done. I'm a problem solver. I like to fix things. I like to take something that somebody tells me doesn't work, and then I look at like, why is it not working? And then and then I get it to a place where it will work. And I think that's something that I'm bringing in from my culture, I think, into the business space.
Absolutely. Definitely. I hear that quite a bit. That's a common theme between immigrants working in business, definitely.
Yeah.
So, how has the entertainment industry evolved since 2006, and what has been your experience in your company, Talent Direct Agency?
Wow, that's a lot to unpack. So we were in Florida, one of the top 3 states in the US with film and television programming. We're the only state pretty much that doesn't have a current incentive program. So when I started in this business, I went from the upskill event side in 2011 to full-fledged agency. We went SAG-AFTRA, so we joined the union, and then basically we were able to represent people differently. I opened up an office in LA, opened up an office in Atlanta down the road. We were everywhere until COVID, and then that March of 2020 is when we stepped back and just basically focused on Florida. But we've constantly had to adapt and change because in 2008, and on the financial crisis, obviously anything that was like extra money events, anything that was like maybe a $50,000, $100,000 invoice for me became like $2,000, $3,000. Like it was really scary. Like everything just basically got canceled. And then in 2011, when we started doing film projects and we added, extras, we added commercial, then we added a print division. So we were kind of always adapting to what the market is doing. And I've been lucky enough that I can just adapt. Like I don't have any ego in the space. And when LA at that time did not work out for me, I was like, and then we switched to Atlanta because it was much closer. That was during a time where even LA was having trouble keeping projects in. They were starting to shift to Atlanta. We just changed. We closed down there a year, like recovered a year later, opened up in Atlanta. When COVID happened, same thing again. We had to kind of look at, okay, what's going on, shut it down. And then now we've gone to an exclusive only agency in Florida, which I believe we're one of the few only ones handling adults that are exclusive. And everybody told me in 2018 or 19, whenever that shift happened, they told me it couldn't be done. And why would I do it? And why would anybody want to work with me? And so we kind of, the way we want to do it is we want to have a different type of relationship with the people that we work with every day. I don't want to mass sign, mass push out, and then hopefully make some money. I don't want to like throw flies against the wall. I really want to work with people individually. I want to get to know them. I want to see them grow, which sometimes sucks when somebody leaves. But usually, I think if I've done my job right, if somebody comes in and we get them to success and then they move to California, it's not a bad thing. That means I did my job right, really, even though I would like to keep them here.
Yes.
It's really, I gotta like check my ego out and let them fly free. Whether it works or not, that's up to them then. But I've done my part.
Absolutely. So, how did you start in the entertainment industry? Like, how did the idea of Talent Direct Agency come up for you? Yeah.
Yeah. So I was, like I said, I was talent. And then I moved down to South Beach as talent. And then my husband is in a domain space. And then when we kind of had that conversation of like, what's the next step? We looked at all his names that made sense. So originally the company was called Model Store, 2006. So that's the name. We're still the same company. We just did a name change in 2011 because of the more variety of talent that we were bringing on. Like it didn't make sense for some of the everyday Joes to be part of like from the look department. So when I say stuff, it's not a character description. We're very descriptive in our world because you have, when a client comes to me and they're like, oh, we're doing Home Depot. We're not hiring models to do necessarily. That some of them might be, but we don't usually we hire every average Joes, we call it, even though they're still better looking than average Joes. But like, so basically that's how it was. And I really have enjoyed the industry for a long time, but even when I'm in my 20s, I already didn't love it anymore for myself. I don't love being in front of the camera. I don't mind for podcasts, but I don't like working 12-hour days and like adhering to a certain standard. Like I'd rather be there, the enabler and like pulling things together. I do a lot with the industry now. I'm the South Florida branch co-chair for Women in Film and Television. I'm also a board member. We're the outreach coordinators for Film Florida. One is a 501c3, one's a 501c6. So we're really involved, not just in developing talent pools and like making sure productions, are happy, but I'm also really looking for productions to bring down here. Like instead of sitting here and waiting for phone calls, we've decided in 2020, and then COVID happened, that we're going to do this differently and we're going to streamline like some of the rates, how we operate, what's okay, what's not okay, making sure talent were paid appropriately, that they were paid the right amount. So we've really tried to like streamline some of the stuff because Florida was for a little bit, I feel like a little bit of a wild, wild west, unless it was part of the union for our industry.
Amazing. Hmm. Well, you're doing a great job. So, in your journey to reach this executive level, what are the lessons that you wish somebody had told you, or what was your journey like to now be on the executive level and be a board member?
Sure. So expect to put a lot of time into it. I think I couldn't even tell you how many 12, 14, 16-hour days I've had. I think they're endless. Like I mentioned before, I also had 3 children throughout all of this. I've never taken maternity leave. So basically, I had my laptop with me in the hospital room every single time, and things just kept going because especially when you're a small business, you just if they don't call you, then or if you don't answer, they'll just call someone else. I think with my last one in 2016, probably a little bit better. I could have said, "Hey, I'll work on this. It just won't be right now, but it'll be later today." But I had to build those relationships with my clients to make sure that they knew they would be taken care of. And my industry is very day to day, so I can get a call today for a major project in 72 hours or even less. Or, we got a call on Saturday for a pretty big university job, but it's shooting on the 16th. So that's not a lot of time. Also, the industry went from in-person casting or a lot of in-person stuff to now self-tapes online. So especially when COVID first happened, a lot of spaces weren't open yet, but yet they wanted to continue on casting. So something that's called self-tape became very, very prevalent. But it put so much more time on our end because I had to now, instead of just sending 20 people somewhere for a casting, I'd also watch the tapes to make sure that, especially the older generation, for example, had a really hard time with Zoom and self-tape and uploading. So during the shutdown, I don't even know how many weeks just, hey guys, we're doing a meeting on Tuesday. Everybody log on. We're going to show you how to do Zoom. We're going to show you how to do self-tape. And it was like, when you imagine these videos where like literally I'll like have somebody's nostril and they're, what do you mean? Where is it? Like it was literally that. And but also I think what was so great during that time is that when creatives don't get to work, they get really, really depressed. So what we started doing is training for free. We just did it. We're all sitting at home, no projects to work on. So we basically were like, hey, you need to make sure when it opens back up, you need new headshots. Hey, change your resume. Hey, let's do this training over here. So we really kept we tried our best to keep everybody engaged so that people weren't falling into black holes. Because that really is what happens when creatives don't get to create. And when they're used to the phone calls for the call to action or the emails with the call to action and they're not getting that, they just kind of stop. And we really were trying to just make that not happen. We also didn't know what was going to happen. But to go back to your question, I think it's just expect to do a lot of hours. And I think especially whatever space you're in. I mean, I can't imagine having to be physically in a space 16 hours a day, which I didn't have to do. So I was able to work from home for 4 weeks after each pregnancy, but then I would put my kids into daycare, which people have mixed feelings on that, but I had to continue working. And that was the price that I paid. And I think I would do that again.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's commendable that you did use the downtime and COVID to still enhance and grow your team. And yeah, I agree with the daycare. We had to do it as well. It's not much. I mean, it depends, right? Every family is different, and you have to make the best choice for your family given your circumstances. So
yeah, I got super lucky. It was attached to the parking lot of my office. So
Oh,
every 2 hours, I ran over there to feed her. Like it was like I had the best. I couldn't even. I felt
perfect.
bad because my voice didn't get that. My last one, just because I was older, I just was able to set it up completely differently. But I ran over there every 2 hours when they had a nursing room, which was like amazing. Such a great
Aw.
experience within all the stress. It was a great experience. So, but and I think the one thing, just if I can go back to it, the one thing that I wish I would have done more from the beginning is figure out. I worked with a business coach in 2012, I think, or 2013. And he always said to me, like, anything you can outsource for $25 an hour, outsource it. Like, don't do it. Whether it's cleaning, even like, now it's so much easier with Instacart and you can do all these things. But I wish I would have outsourced from day one more of my responsibility. That's the only thing I wish I could go back on. And I would redo it so that I would have more time with my kids. I think that was everything else I'm totally fine with. You're not going to build a big company working 5 hours a day. Not going to happen. The price you pay. But how you get there,
Absolutely.
I think you have some control over if you do it right.
Yeah, absolutely. Lovely. Thank you for that insight. So, what's unique about running a talent agency in Florida?
Well, so what's unique about us is that, like I said earlier, we're exclusive. So that's a lot different. I have some talent I've worked with for a really long time. I mean, we just had we do like kind of like an anniversary picnic party every summer, and some of the talent there had been with me as far back as 2008. So I mean, I think that's really a testament to what we're doing. The fact that they're still with us all these years later. Um, but I think what we've done too is gotten involved in the market. We host really large events for women in film and for Film Florida. We've tried to create a community in South Florida. So our events range anywhere from like 50 to 200 people now. We have another big one that we're getting ready to launch with, Telemundo and Casa Networks, like key players in our industry. We're doing that in March and super excited about it. So we didn't just sit back, and we're doing this as a volunteer. So I don't financially profit from arranging these events, but I am a huge believer in education, community, sharing resources. I do also believe that, I can't be the only agency in Florida. That's not my goal. It has to be 5 or 6 or 7 really strong ones that work together, that, like I said, streamline the rates, streamline how our talent gets treated. And that's been really important to us. So we've spent the last 3 years trying to basically create this community. So I think that's what makes us a lot different, because you don't see that very often. I think usually
Yes.
people are very private. I'm private in my private life, but I do, like I said, we host these events and meetups and workshops, and we're doing a producer series right now every other month. So we have some really fun events that get really good attendance.
Lovely. Well, thank you for giving back to the community. So let's move to your Mompreneur. So you are the founder of Mompreneur community. Tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah, so mompreneur.com. I've been trying to buy the domain name since I started using the hashtag on social, which is 2013. So in 2013, I reached out to the lady that owned it and had quite a few conversations with her. The domain at the time was listed at $90,000. I connected with her because she was in a domain space, and I was basically like, "Hey, this is what I want to build. Can I buy your name?" 90,000 was a lot, but since my other half is in a domain space, I know what you pay for. I mean, I've paid a lot for good domains. So it couldn't really settle on anything, because she said to me, "I want you to build a community for all moms, not just localized moms." She wanted it to be, so she also had like babypreneur, teenpreneur, girlpreneur, boy, like she had the whole vertical. And I think her name was Sally. I'm trying to, she wanted really something bigger to happen with it. And I was like, gosh, that's a big ask. And I was trying to have another kid at the time. So I was like, oh, I can't do 90,000 and do something that big. And while trying to like have my third kid, like that's just a lot of ask. So we kind of let it be for a minute. And then I put the names into like a domain drop system. And all of a sudden I got an email. I was like, oh, you won mompreneur.org for like 1,100 bucks or whatever it was. And I was like, oh, wow, I didn't even know. I'm like, now I can do something with it. So I logged on, and then we saw that all the other ones were coming up. So I got mompreneur.com. I still spent a lot of money on it, but not quite what it was listed for originally. So I got mompreneur.com.org and teenpreneur. So I'm really excited to we're just in the process of starting to build this. So it's definitely a community for moms, but what my focus will be is transitioning and supporting moms in business, or moms that want to transition from working for someone else to working for themselves. I mean, when COVID happened and some of our regulations changed and we were actually able to work from home as an agency, like as a license holder in the state of Florida, you have to have a physical office. When that changed is when I all of a sudden overnight was able to show up for my kids and my family in so many more ways. We became more productive. We had a smaller team, bigger numbers, but like better way to work, and got to do all these other things. So I'm like, okay, if I can do this, I can probably show other women how to do this, and then bring in the support to, whether it's law support or tech support or coaching on like goal setting or whatever it is. So we're going to do all kinds of different things with this, but we're just getting ready to launch this year, which I'm super excited about. I've been wanting to do this for so long.
That's
business
exciting.
has changed a lot in the last 10 years. And so like the version that I had in mind in 2013 is not quite what it will be now. So we're reworking a lot of things.
Amazing. That's exciting. And I can't wait for it.
I'm super excited. We're gonna have a book. We're gonna have like books that we bring out with like interviews on chat. Like I'm just so excited. There's like the possibilities are endless with what I can do with this. So, and I really I think it's the right time too right now. I think there's a lot of support for women needed.
Absolutely. And I can see the excitement in your face and you hear it in your voice. So I can wait for this. So how do you support women balancing business and motherhood?
So I think the best way I don't think, and I don't love always like quoting Jeff Bezos, but I think he's right when he says it's not a balance, it's a harmony. And so I think there's a give and take. I think to make it big, you are going to have to make sacrifices. It's just what it is. But you hopefully get to control on some level what these sacrifices are. For myself, I moved my mom here from Indiana in 2000, I feel like 16 maybe, because that's when I was pregnant with my third child. I'm like, listen, before I like sit here and try to find babysitters and this and that, my mom was already working for me. That was, I want to talk about this real quick because I feel like that was kind of a really big step. When we first kind of thought about, I think it was like 2011, 2012, I felt like the place where my mom was at, she was working for a hospital, and the room that they gave her to work in after 12 years of being there and being skipped over for every promotion ever. My mom's an incredibly hard worker. She still works to this day 60 hours for me every week, like no question. Like she like takes something until it's done, no matter how long it takes. And I'm not asking her to work these hours. I have to like pull her out or put her in situations where she can't work and doesn't have access to the internet. But that's just how she is. And she got skipped over every time. The office that she was in, I wouldn't even qualify that as an office. It was basically a closet that was changed into an office space, like by the back door. And this is after 12 or 14 years of being with the same company, which was to me heartbreaking. I was already living in Florida, so I didn't see it until I saw it. I was like, listen, my company's growing. How do we do this? And I knew that if I were to take her over at age 50 plus, I don't remember exactly how old she was at the time, this would be a big deal. She wouldn't be able to just re-enter the market if my company went belly up. So it was a big risk, I felt like, that we took at the time, and we decided to move forward with it. And then I moved her here. Find your support system. Like I think as a mompreneur, you have to and be creative with that support system. If you have to kit swap or there's so many different ways to be creative. And I feel like it's still like kit swapping, some people do it, but it's still not like super prevalent. Like if you need to work these hours, I need to work these hours. And then it gives them a built-in friend, whatnot. See if there's a family member you can tie in. I feel like anything that you can outsource. But then also feel good. Like my daughter is in a Waldorf school, which I absolutely adore this school. So I feel totally fine leaving her there because of the way that the curriculum is set up. With my boys, I had a lot of people like, we'll do ride shares, or like, hey, can you take him this day? I'll take him this day. I mean, anything that alleviates the stress off from your day of trying to get everything done, try to find those alternatives. And, I think sometimes it works, and then maybe 2 months from now, their schedule changes and it doesn't work. Have to be super flexible. And when I have to get stuff done, I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, sometimes 4:30, just to get done. And do I think it's fair? No. But is it what we have to do? Yes. So just do it.
Amazing. Well, congratulations. And I'm sure that is such an accomplishment, just to have your mom with you, and it's such a blessing that she's there by your side, and watching her grandchildren grow. That's such a blessing, definitely.
It is. Well, I pulled my sister here too. So I have my sister on the team also. So My kids have lots of rides they can call now.
Oh, that's nice. Switching gears again, what motivated you to create the veganist? So you have three businesses, right? Like
Yes.
three distinct businesses. Tell
Yes.
us about the veganist.
So veganist is also launching. Veganist is I've been a vegan since been a lifelong vegetarian. And then I switched over to veganism, or being a vegan in 2000 at the end of 2015. I believe that's when Cowspiracy came out. I was pregnant with my daughter, watched Cowspiracy, and it just something clicked. I'm like, can't do milk and cheese either. Just can't do it after watching that. And then I'm somebody I love fashion. And after switching to veganism, it was really hard to find fully vegan products. And it's, and I'm not really into like, and it's just fine if you are, but like, I'm not in, I love Birkenstocks, but I don't want to wear them like to work every day. So like most of the brands that were out at the time that were fully plant-based or vegan were kind of that very organic, what you would think of as a typical vegan look. But I'm still in the agency space where when I go to work meetings, I want to look the part kind of, especially being a talent agency owner. So I had a really hard time with that. So that's something, again, I was looking for a domain name for a really long time. And it just coincidentally, I think I got that in January of 2024. The other one I bought in December of 2023. And then, so it was like back to back, two names that I've been waiting for forever. So veganist means vegan activist. So it wasn't something that I was looking for a good vegan name, but not necessarily veganist. But then that came up and I got in the auction also. So I was like, okay, I got to do something. So it's just a collective marketplace. As of now, we don't have any of our own brands, but basically all the brands that we will push on there will be certified vegan brands or at least acknowledged vegan brands. And really, we're not trying to convert over everybody to veganism. It's just give better options, give better options that you can feel good about, that are, better for the planet, better for animals, better for us. And that's basically what this is. So I'm really excited because I think I get to be where the mompreneur is something where I get to help other people. And so something that I'm very passionate about. I think with veganist, it's more supporting brands and supporting stories and supporting founders that are out there trying to make a change and trying to do the right thing. So that's basically what. So veganist is also a community. We're hoping to do lots of live events with both places. So it's a little bit similar playbook, actually, just two different directions, except for one is more of an e-commerce and the other one is more workshops and programs and whatnot. I'm really excited. It's going to be a really fun year. It's going to be a tough year, but it's going to be a fun year.
Yeah, this is exciting. You have two businesses launching this year.
Yeah. If everything goes right, yes, then yes.
It will. It will. So how do you curate products that align with your mission?
So I've been obviously following brands for a long time now because I was very tired of square toe shoes. So I had to really find some fun brands. So we're in the process. We kind of checked out some of them to see what we need to be able to offer to even be of consideration. Since this business mostly set up dropship, I have to basically bring an audience to the table already. So we've just been researching what the different brands need. So we have like our ballpark points kind of what we need to get down on our end to build an audience, to build usership. And that's what we're doing right now. So that's why we're not quite at the end yet, but we're figuring out like who we can target first and what do we need for each, like what benchmarks do we need to hit to bring these brands on. But I've got probably a list of like 800 brands that I would love to represent on our site if they choose to do so.
800. That's a big number.
There are a lot. There are a lot out there. I mean, there are lots of like look at like Rothy's and like brands that you don't really think about like necessarily. It's a feel good brand. I mean, from car tires, but it's not. I don't think people think of it as a vegan brand.
Got it. Lovely. So, what challenges have you faced in the sustainable products market?
I haven't really faced a lot of challenges yet. I do think that it's becoming very oversaturated. So I think what we are going to do, I think hopefully that'll be a little bit different, is educate people about the brand. I know the brands do this for themselves, but normally if you go to like a Nordstrom or Neiman's or like, some of the bigger websites, you don't necessarily find out about the brand. So we're really going to try to, through podcasts, through interviews, like just to also like tell the brand story, not just It's not just for the sale. And I think that's where we're also tying in some of the live events that we want to do down the road. Obviously, I'm in Boca. Miami is not far from us. Huge sustainable fashion movement in Miami that we're so excited to then hopefully be able to tap into. But I really want to do this. I really want to create a community around it. I don't want this just to be another website.
Amazing. So how do you balance running three distinct businesses?
I don't know yet. Ask me at the end of the year. I know that when I started to get Tell and Direct, when I got really big was the summer that I had my second child. So like 2010, that summer, I was working on 9 shows at the same time. And I tell you, you can literally get 3 circles. I don't know if you know this. You can have like one dark circle and then a second one. And I had the third one. I look at pictures of myself like from that era, and like my smile is like everything is just tense. I was exhausted. I'm glad I did it because I feel like that's what pushed it forward. That's the reason why I got so big. We also had like some really amazing supporters that were like, we like how she works. We know she's tired, but she'll still answer. She'll get stuff done. But I really, I don't know. I wish I would have known a little bit more about balance back then. A lot of yoga.
Absolutely.
I try to do my yoga every day.
Lovely. So what's your secret to successful time management?
Time blocking, and having a Google Calendar and sticking to it. Yeah, it's really so every game. I have one kid, and he's in travel soccer as well as futsal. It's a lot of tournaments, a lot of traveling. I have another one that's now in rugby, football, and track. He's getting his license Wednesday. I'm like, I can't wait. And then my daughter is in private school, like I said, horseback. So I'm just like, you just have to time block. I mean, I do a lot, Chad and my husband and I talk a lot about, okay, what's here. We block all the stuff out. I try to get most of my work done during a day, or then I know that I'll be back home sometime around 9 after pickup, and then I'll work however long it takes just to get it done. But you just have to be willing to do that. And then I literally just bought like blackout curtains in my bedroom. So if I can go to sleep, so I just I have a music on, like close the curtains. I tell everyone I have a diffuser. And then I just like lay there, and sometimes I zone out for 20 minutes. It doesn't happen very often, but like figure out what makes you keep running. Healthy food, work out if you can. If you have dogs, walk your dogs. Like whatever it is, get your mind out of the workspace for a little bit so that you can come back refreshed. And it's fine to do that. I mean, I do take time for self-care. I get a massage once a month, and I do yoga every day, but this is more recent. This wasn't early building days.
Yeah. I guess as we keep growing in our entrepreneurial journey, we understand how much more important health and taking care of it and managing our time is, right? If we want to achieve.
Have your food delivered if you need to. Don't feel bad Instacart. Like, don't feel bad about Instacart. I don't like using it so much because of all the trash. Like, I don't use plastic bags.
Yeah.
And same thing with the food delivery programs. It's just that if they would find like a recyclable way for all the plastic that comes with it. But man, if I look at my schedule and it looks like it's not going to be an easy week, whatever you need to do to outsource it, I literally we have something here called Crave Kitchen. It's a vegan food delivery service, and it's fresh cooked food. So it goes in a refrigerator, you heat it up. So then I order. I ask the kids what they want. Everybody gets to pick something. It's not the cheapest, but it's like, I could either do that or I basically die next week from like not having any time, and then it's mac and cheese or whatever anyway. Lots of vegan mac and cheese in my house. But just, figure out what can help you get through the week, but also make it fun at the same time.
Absolutely. It's a blessing that we have so many options in this country, and we can do the things we want to do and get to do and are passionate about. So definitely land of opportunities.
Yeah, I agree.
So what advice would you give to entrepreneurs wanting to diversify?
I think I think it's good to finish or at least be in the middle of something that pays your bills. I think that the only reason why I can do these other 2 companies is because I have a business already that keeps my family afloat in the manner that we would like to live, with the opportunities, that we would like to take for let's say for my kids or whatever. So have something that's solid. I would not be starting. I'm not even sure if I'd recommend starting 2 businesses at the same time. I think I have a team in place. I have, like I said, my mom, my sister on the team. I've got other people working with me. Everybody's been with me. I think we just hired a new person, but prior to that, the last person that we hired was in 2018, and everybody's still there. So nobody's left. So I have a stable system. I have stable income. So now I can do these other things and kind of time block my time, maybe get rid of some of my responsibilities and give them to someone else. And then so that I can start doing new things. But I am outsourcing a lot.
Lovely. So what's next for you on your entrepreneurial journey?
Well, I'd really love to get, like I said, get these two companies going. And I would love to bring out a book. That's kind of my next thing that I'd love to do. I've been wanting to do it for a long time. I'm just not that great of a writer. Figure out how to actually consolidate my thoughts. But I think I'm going to get help with, I'm going to put my story down and then have somebody else actually write it, which I think is what most people do anyway.
Yes, absolutely.
That would be my big thing, having a book. That would be really great.
So all the best for it. And we can't wait to see what this year holds for you. So if people want to get in touch with you and either work with you or, just get in touch with you for your coaching or your products, what would be the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Sure. Actually, I prefer LinkedIn, just because my email is getting pretty, it's just a lot in there. If you go on LinkedIn under Bianka Krausch, Bianka Krausch, I'm super responsive on there. I'll respond right back. Talentdirect.com is the agency. Mompreneur.com is obviously Mompreneur. And then veganist is that. Each one of them has the email listed on there as well. So love to hear from anybody who wants to maybe work together or even just ask questions. I'm usually pretty good about responding.
Amazing. For our listeners, all this information will be available in the show notes. So before we wrap up, could you give us 2 or 3 takeaways from your journey this far? And if you have any advice for other immigrant women who want to start their business or who are already in their business journey, some lessons that, you would want to give them that you wish you knew.
Sure. So I think the first one and the biggest one is being resilient and being very flexible. And I'm putting those two together because I think that usually as immigrants, we're already resilient anyway. I think that kind of comes with part of the journey of moving from uprooting your family from one place to another. You're resilient anyway. There will be a lot of setbacks. There'll be a lot of, I don't know how to do this, but this is literally a country where you can find all these resources online. There's so much free information. It really is the best place to start a business. And number 2, I would say just make sure eyes on the price. You'll hear a lot of people, and this is whether you're an immigrant or not, or a woman or not, oh, this is an idea, it's not going to work. Stick by your guts. Make sure that you're picking something that you're passionate about, where it doesn't feel like work all the time. Eyes on the price. There will be distractions. There will be shiny syndrome, shiny object syndrome. Like every time somebody has a good idea, I'm like, oh, I want to do that. I'm someone who wants to do everything. I want to do that. And I noticed that every time I try, if I veer off my path, it usually doesn't work out for me. It really doesn't. Not only does it not work out for me, it usually hurts. So just stay on your path and you'll get there.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time and being on my show and sharing all these wonderful things about your business. And we wish you all the best for this year and can't wait to hear about your journey.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was awesome. Appreciate it.
As we wrap up this episode with Bianka, remember, your dreams don't have to fit in just one lane. This is Anisha Jennings reminding you that sometimes the biggest success comes from following all your passions. Until next time.